Right to a channel of Light Fluid. Welcome to End of the Line. This is one of the submissions for the Novembear VN Jam, so I thought I'd have a go at this one. We are going to check out the Neven team submission a bit later on in the month here, and if you know of any others that are worth looking at and actually suitable for YouTube, then please do let me know, and I'll take a look at them, and we might do some more over the next few months. It's going to be just an occasional thing, but I wanted to start with this one as I know some people involved, and they did a really good one for a previous jam, so let's get started with this one. Fishing gear, keys, sleeping bag, and pills. Everything was accounted for. A wave of heat blasted me as I stepped out of the car, mirages swirling above the faded asphalt like oil on water. A real shame I'd be spending my final holiday here without snow. I carried my luggage towards a rickety old shack off the shore of Old Sawmill Lake. Ancient thing. A miracle it was still standing. I doubt it'd last another decade or so like this. I looked over the fading building as I got closer. It was unrecognisable. Not a speck of paint remained on the arid wooden frame. There was no mistaking it. I'd hoped seeing it, even in such a paltry state, would elicit some spark of emotion. Nothing. As usual. It's just another building. I set my luggage down at the entrance, the floorboard straining beneath the weight, for I turned to the door. It looked as though I could tap the panel and the whole thing would come crumbling down. I traced a claw over the handle, rusted beyond repair at this point. It should still be in livable condition, probably, though it came at a pretty low price, even for a mere weekend rental. Whatever. I gripped the knob and twisted. The door opens calmly, only for the sound of a roaring snowstorm to enter. Hey, Robin. I want to get the stove turned on so we're going to have you having... I haven't closed the fucking door, Arthur! Oh, shit. My bad. You're getting snow all over the damn place. The Arctic fox grumbled while brushing 4 specks of snow into the corner with his tail. Sorry, hun. Kinda came out of nowhere this time. Robin sighed. I really wanted that lake trout. Fine. I'll get the pre-packaged crap out. Storm's going to last well through tomorrow, I imagine. Lake is teeming, though. The fish aren't going anywhere. Having swept most of the snow out of the way, the fox returned to the hearth, where he'd been setting about kindling a flame. Once the fire sparked to life and the embers took, he walked over to our supplies, pulling a few sealed bags out. What are you in the mood for? Anything's fine. Anything's not an answer. Just... give me the smoked salmon, I guess. Or, You guess? Wait, let me think. 3 seconds. Wait, no, 3. You didn't pick up any tilapia at the supermarket, did you? 2. Oh my god. 1, time's up. You're getting salmon. Oh, fine. Robin smirked as he approached me, placing a tender kiss on my cheek. It's fine. I expected as much. Tilapia makes you gassy anyways. Come on, sit. I rolled my eyes, putting my fishing gear away to prop myself on the sofa as Robin set to work getting dinner ready. I loved watching him cook, the master of his domain, It was like watching a dance as he prepared everything. Satisfied, he left the stove to warm and moved over towards me, throwing himself over my legs and staring upwards. He looked like a little fox kid whenever he did this, flicking his tail as he lay there. Okay if I get cosy? I nodded, and Robin happily leaned close to me, curling his bushy tail around my leg. You warm up fast. My fur's thick for a reason, Rob. 2 layers. I gave him a smirk. Yeah, too bad all that fur makes it a bitch to clean up the bed at home. You want a warm bear or not? A tricky trade-off. Suppose I'll settle for a warm bear. I thought you would. It's okay if I lean in closer. That's fine, Rob. You don't need to ask. Just making sure. Robin nuzzled his head close to my neck, a satisfied purring noise humming from his chest. You been okay, big guy? Fine, I guess. You guess? What's up? I'm still thinking about that article from yesterday. The coral one. I didn't say anything. Robin placed a paw on the back of my neck, massaging it softly, reassuringly. I know, it's stupid. I told you not to read that shit, Art. I know. Robin sighed. Oh, Arthur, Arthur, Arthur. You took your meds this morning, yeah? I nodded. That's good. He traced his tender paws down my neck, the tips of his whiskers tickling my face. Well, tell me what's up. I'll listen. I looked at him. His eyes were round as dinner plates, his ears perked attentively. It's just... It's scary, what's happening. And I can't do, well, anything about it. Rob, you ever consider this might legitimately be the last snowstorm we'll ever see? I mean, this is the first one I've seen in quite a while. Wasn't sure we'd ever get another one. And like, what happens then? What happens after, when there's no snow and this place just... Hey. Slowly, one question at a time. Just one. Yeah. I'm just wondering if we'll be alright. If, everything will be okay. If we'll be okay. We'll be okay, right, Rob? I can't promise you that, Arthur. You know I can't. That's why I don't worry about it. I know you don't worry about it, but for me it's, well, like, I know. Hey, look at it like this. No matter what's happening in the world right now, no matter what'll happen to you or me in the future, we're here, together, just the two of us. We'll go to bed and next morning we'll wake up. And you'll wake up the day after, and the day after. But what if... Never mind. Look around us, here, right now. Roaring fire, gonna have a lovely, decent dinner, soon. And all the time in the world to cuddle up close, fox and bear. We're here, now. I pulled Robin closer. As the stove heated, I shut my eyes. Robin would be here with me, and we'd wake up tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. And... Fuck. I propped the fallen door against the wall before moving into the centre of the cabin room. Dust particles tickled the back of my throat, forcing me to hack and wheeze. I could see the ghost of that warm little cabin from so long ago, but the crushing reality of its state now, I didn't even know what to make of it. I brushed the debris off the old sofa and threw my sleeping bag down on it. It still seemed sturdy enough, I hoped. Fishing gear, trail mix, fur brush, pills. I set them all to the side. The sofa creaked as I lay down on it to rest. It had been a long drive to get here, and now that I was actually here, it was not quite what I'd have been expecting. Only a shell of the cabin I'd stayed at with Robin. Robin. I rummaged through my pack and produced a single-frame photograph of my belongings. Us two on a honeymoon right here, standing before the lake at sunrise. Years of wear had dulled the colours and crimped the photo's edges, but Robin's smile still shone through. Next to him, a younger bear, a happier bear. A moment between two people who loved each other, surrounded by a breathtaking winterscape. Just looking at it brought that familiar pain in my chest right back to the surface. The day after that, I'd caught the fattest trout I ever had, and Robin made an amazing dinner for us. I placed the photo atop the hearth, losing myself the current of memories. After a moment to recuperate, I took out all the fishing gear from my luggage and headed outside. Oh, shit, the door. With a sigh, I put the gear down and took some time to prop the door back up. There, it wouldn't fall again. Hopefully. The sun took centre stage in the sky, beaming a harsh glare across the lake's surface. Setting my gear down at the start of the pier, I wandered to the edge of the water. One glance at the shriveled lake shore, my heart sank. The place was in an even worse state than I imagined. A long band of silt stretched from the riverbank several feet to where the water lapped against the shore. That old rock I used to balance myself upon was now fully exposed. I shook my head. I knew things were getting bad, but seeing it firsthand... Christ. The rocks made a natural step ladder I could easily hoist myself up on. A wire-thin silver lining. The water itself was choked with elodea, worse than I'd ever seen before. I could barely imagine a carp living down there, much less a lake trout. Whatever, I'll manage. I just need one. With a sigh, I wandered back to the pier, grabbed the gear and walked over to the edge. I pulled out the tackle box and rod and set to work. One spinning rod, simple float rig, roughly 30 inches of leader line, all attached to a rudimentary bait hook. Nothing fancy, but should get the job done for a laker. My claws threaded lines and weaved knots in an efficient clockwork process. Even years out of practice, I had the whole thing rigged in a minute. It's like I never stopped in the first place. Now, the fun part. I popped open the lid for a white styrofoam container. Clods of earth, pitch black, dark as tar, and wriggling inside. European nightcrawler. I saw a flash of red squirm beneath a lump of dirt and pinched it with the tips of my claws. With a deft yank, a juicy fat one popped right out. I smiled, hearing Robin squeal whenever I would pull them out around him. Put that thing back, Art! Oh, don't be like that, Rob. If you're going to learn to fish, you've got to get used to things like this. Okay, I don't want to learn how to fish then. Oh, wait. Really? Robin's ears perked when he noticed my expression. Oh, hey, I'm just kidding. Oh, sorry, I just... Never mind. My fault. Still, could you hook that for me? I'd, rather not. Sure thing. So they're a pretty juicy one too. You don't want them too big or else they'll scare the fish away. But the right kind of worm, you could land some real monsters. Remember my dad landed a walleye half my size with one of these. I took out a bait knife and bisected the worm before tossing the unneeded half back in the container. Robin keenly ignored that part. Once the other half was secured onto the hook, I handed the rod over to Robin. Alright, how do I... Oh, like this, hun. Prop it up against your waist, like so. Wind the line up just a bit. There, that's good. Now, unlatch the bail and hold the line against your index finger, like this. And now you cast. Robin stepped back and slashed the rod through the air, sending the line in a frenzy as it careened in all different directions, before landing with a plop into a thicket of reeds. The other half of the worm landed squarely on Robin's muzzle. All of his fur stood on end as he swiped it off. Yeah, Christ! I'd say good job, but shut up! Come on, hun, it's part of the experience. Oh, close the bail, just by the way. Here, let me help you. I helped reel the rod back in and assisted him with another cast. This time was better. He actually managed to get the line into the water, as well as the rest of the rod. But at least it was where it needed to be. In the end, he relented and let me handle it. Alright, watch and learn. Robin stared eagerly. I stepped back and cast. No spark. What else should I have expected? The spark was doused ever since Robin's passing. I remember sitting in this exact spot, sunrise till sunset. Now I could barely sit through 5 minutes of this. Maybe... I kept going back and forth on whether or not I should reel it in before giving up. Instead, I left it floating as I took to eyeing the scenery. It was so long since I'd last been here, I barely registered just how different Sawmill was. Not just the lake. Everything was off. The receded waters, the stench of rotting weeds, and the feverish heat beneath that merciless sun. I gazed over across the lake and towards the mountains in the distance, their once white peaks now patchy like thin fur. And even beyond that, the national park where the glacier, only a few miles out, had a flood warning very recently. The entire ice pack was hemorrhaging like a bleeding animal. Every little bit of that once wonderful ice structure was vanishing, soon to be gone. Soon the world would lose even more sparkle. And we'd all wake up the next day, and the day after that, joy draining out of the world, like the ice pack losing its form. To live in a world like that, nobody by my side. I wish God would just put me out of my misery already. A great tug at the rod snapped me out of my thought spiral. What, a bite? Seizing the rod, I pulled it back to snag whatever it had caught onto. Oh, this was a big one. Too big. There's no way a lake trout could get this size. Did they decide to stock this place with muskie or sturgeon? Just as I yanked the rod back again, the water where the bobber vanished bubbled up and a large figure emerged. I'd caught a seal? Hey, I think you, snagged me. The seal made his way towards me. It seemed the hook had stuck itself into his swim trunks. I was able to get a better look at him as he drew closer. Grey with mottled white. A leopard seal, no doubt. He gave a toothy, flustered smile as he swam to the pier. God, this is embarrassing. I apologised profusely while the seal worked the hook out of his garments. Sorry about the surprise, man. Didn't expect anyone to be coming up here at all. Yeah. A soft voice, sounding like a tenor, with almost sing-song buoyancy to it. Sorry, guess I can leave you yourself here. I'll find another spot. You don't gotta do that. I was thinking about turning in soon anyhow. He swam under the wooden boards, only to reappear at the shore. Clambering up onto the pier, he approached me and extended a hand. Her name's Owen, by the way. What's yours? I'm Arthur. Nice to meet you, Arthur. You're from around here. I glanced at the cabin just a few yards from the pier and then back at the seal. Owen gave me a nod of understanding. Ah, just taking a nice weekend out in the wilderness. I shrugged non-committally as I recast my rod. Owen nodded long as he examined my fishing gear. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there ain't much fishing left to do here. What's this guy's deal? Getting real close. Starting to tick me off. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, sure. Well, tell me if you get anything. I left my stuff on the other side. I'll see you later. As he prepared to jump off the pier, he used my shoulder as support, making me wince. Hey! I jolted away from his touch, feeling gravity's tug as I slid too far and plummeted into the water. Whoa, hey, you okay, man? Yeah, fuck. I was too flustered to say anything. I was waterlogged, covered in a tangle of muck and weeds. My only good garments, utterly ruined. Owen jumped down and offered a helping hand, but I ignored it and made my way to shallow water. Shit. I'll get changed, sorry. Perfect excuse as any to go back by myself anyhow. Oh, all right. I wandered back inside, careful not to push too hard on the door. My clothes were off in an instant, and I wrung them out over the toilet, filling the bowl with dirt and bits of plant matter. I rinsed myself and my clothes in the shower before hanging them out to dry in the main room. Could make it faster with some fire going. Just as leaning over the hearth, a knock came at the door. It was the seal's voice again. Hey, sorry again about that. Mind if I come in for a sec? Sure. As the door started to swing open, I realised my mistake. Oh, wait, slow. Oh, shit, sorry. No, it's fine. It was already like that. The seal stepped over the fallen door, looking apologetic despite my reassurance. I was trying to apologise for the earlier mishap, too. Hey, tell you what, I have a toolbox in my car if you need some help fixing this. Sighing, I nodded. It would be nice not to have to sleep with the door that falls off the hinges to the slightest breeze. I'll be right back. Owen dashed outside, returning after around 15 minutes with the promised toolbox. With our combined efforts, we managed to make sure the door was stable enough, at least for the week I'd be spending here. Thanks, I appreciate that. No problem. Hope it makes up for causing you to fall in the lake earlier. I chuckled, nodding. All right, I guess I'll be heading out then. With a nod, Owen turned to leave. And I stopped him. Oh, wait. Why did I stop him? Where did this come from? Fuck. It's not going to matter tonight anyways. Will you be here tomorrow? Owen looked back with a quizzical expression. Yeah, I'm around most days. I can bring lunch. Lunch, huh? I think we've both got the same tastes. As he said it, Owen flashed his sharp teeth. Smoked salmon? Oh, I like that, friend. And just the place to get the best cuts, too. Take care, Arthur. See ya. Owen turned again, testing the door for a moment before heading outside, chuckling. I sighed, finally being left alone. I felt drained for some reason. I could use some sleep. And Owen, huh? Wonder what a guy like him was doing here. God, why did I ask him to come over tomorrow? Now I'd just speak with him a bit tomorrow, nothing more. I didn't even catch my fish yet either. I folded my paws over my stomach and stared listlessly at the cracked ceiling, then at the pills on the counter. I sighed. I couldn't, not with someone expecting me. My eyes felt heavy, Never would have been this tired in my youth. Not this early in the day. Age was a bitch. Whatever, there wasn't much I could do anyways without my clothes dry. I got myself as comfortable as I could and shut my eyes for the afternoon. I pried a sprig of waterweed from my cuff and tossed it into the lake. 4 hours, not a single bite yet. The bobber was as still as the lake's surface. I was beginning to wonder if Owen scared all the trout off yesterday. Back in the day, you'd expect to snag a few fish within an hour. The lake trout were nothing like the monsters there were up north. They were docile and easy to lure in. Sawmill was a public area, but it was rather out of the way, not exactly a tourist destination. You wouldn't expect to see more than a few bobbers in the water even during peak season. It was nice. Nothing but yourself to keep company and the breeze to whisper faintly in your ears. But now it felt empty. Like I was on a small moon floating by its lonesome. There was no breeze to rustle the leaves or turn the water, nor birds calling to each other from across the expanse of trees. It was just hot, still, endless silence. And a thought flashed in my mind, how much I wanted someone to be sitting right by my side. Anyone really, not even to talk, but to alleviate this deep sense of isolation. It was dead. It was devoid. I sighed, staring blankly at the rod and the lifeless water sprawled before me. That spark still doused as if submerged in the lake itself. What was keeping Owen? I caught myself peering around the forest's edge, hoping to spot him walking out to the tree line. Wasn't sure if I'd be much of a conversation. I only really spoke with him for, 20 or so minutes yesterday? What was he doing out here anyways? It's quite a distance to the town, and all the lodgings shut down over a decade ago. Probably decided he had better things to do than come hang out with an old useless bear. Maybe it's a good thing. It'd just make things complicated later. At least I had fishing to occupy me. One was bound to bite sooner or later. Surely. Just then I heard that same bubbly voice from behind me. "Good afternoon, Arthur." I whipped around to spot the leopard seal trotting through the thin oak branches towards me, a tote bag slung around his shoulder. "Hi." I gave him a slight wave of my paw. Owen returned the gesture and lumbered up to sit next to me, producing a few cans of packaged sardines and anchovies. "Yeah, and for you?" Owen dug deep into the tote, pulling out a large disc covered with a bright towel. My nose twitched as a savoury scent wafted towards me. "Oh, is that—" Owen plucked the towel away to reveal a charcuterie board. Marble rye, salmon, pickles, crackers, and cream cheese too. My mouth watered and my eyes gaped at the feast. "Whoa, all this for me?" I had stuff lying around at home. Decided to get creative with it. Wow, this is too much, thank you. I wasted no time in helping myself. Owen watched me for a second with an amused smile before digging into his own portions. The flavour was indescribable. A satisfying umami profile with exciting hints of seasoning and sprinkled across tender, succulent flesh. Before realising, I'd inhaled the entire plate. "Hey, yikes, you, Oh, sorry. Bear's appetite, I guess. Some nasty looking chompers you got there, too." I cracked a smile. "They're not that dangerous. Well, unless you're a salmon. Then watch out." He laughed, high and merry. Felt nice to see such open joy, especially given where we were. "Say, Owen." "Yeah?" "What are you doing here? Seems you're the only one around." "I'm a ranger, actually, and this place is close by my usual patrol, so I come here every now and then." I raised my eyebrows at him. "A ranger? Really? I figured with the way things are." "Hey, there's still plenty of work for rangers to do." Right, sorry. Oh, you're good. It's not that many people would want this kind of job in the middle of an ecological disaster. I get why you'd be surprised. I nodded, feeling awkward. I shouldn't have brought this up. We both fell silent for a moment before Owen spoke up again. Honestly, you rarely see other people here. I was really surprised to see someone like you come up. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be here long, so you'll be back to having it to yourself. Owen threw his arms behind his head and sighed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm used to it. You start getting pretty lonely up here. Can't be honest. Place isn't doing so hot. Or rather, it's doing too hot. Lake's been receding further and further every year. Thought something was off about the rocks here. Yeah, back in the day where you need deep in water. Place again chugged with invasive plants and, well, no one's come in anyways. I try to take a dip here every now and then, see how the trout are doing. And? Owen shrugged. I don't know, I don't see him. I was hoping you might have caught one at this point, but... I swallowed. A lump formed in my throat at that thought. It was a bizarre feeling. Bizarre I was feeling anything like this in the first place. Yeah, well, I'm pretty determined to catch something. Although... seems like everything's just getting worse and worse, you know? How so? Can't even bear to look at the news or scroll the internet. I mean, just a month ago in the news, the last reef in the world was declared officially dead. I mean, when staghorn went extinct in the wild back a decade ago, it was basically a foregone conclusion. A staghorn? Acropora cervicornis, one of the most important reef-building corals. Owen nodded along. I'm not much of a coral guy myself. Did my studies in arboreal ecology over yonder, in fact. You're a marine biologist. Yeah, more a marine enthusiast. Never did get to visit a coral reef, though. I sighed. And now I guess I never will. It just seems like every day we lose more and more of what makes this world wonderful. And there's nothing we can do about it. Too late now. Sitting and waiting, watching it all. Sorry, I don't mean to be a downer. No, I understand. Being in the field myself, it's brutal. Wanting to quit half the time. While new exciting advancements in technology enticing people more, the constant deluge of bleakness with regards to the environment, well... the colour's fading. Bit by bit, and it's getting worse and worse, and... what's the point? Owen cocked a brow. Oh, what do you mean? I mean, what's like... is it worth it? He didn't answer. Never mind. Constantly hearing we're so fucked eventually nulls you to even the idea of it. Just listless acceptance, I guess. And, well, we are pretty fucked. God, we are screwed. Then? And what? Why bother? Well, you can feel many ways, Arthur, even when you're faced with an awful reality. He had that optimism that burned so brightly in Robin. Even in the face of it all the shit the world was eating. Still living in the moment and looking ahead. I guess I simply can't get myself into your kind of headspace, Owen. It's a bit of a mental gymnastics. Some wishful thinking with a nice garnish of delusion. Well, hey, I'm still here. Trees are still here. Even your Acropora coral. They still got them in labs, don't they? All around us, there are people still passionate about keeping the beauty in this world alive. And I'll wake up tomorrow. Good or bad, we'll wake up tomorrow. And I know. I looked at Owen, feeling almost as if I've seen him for the first time. My heart beat an odd cadence at hearing those familiar words. You okay, Arthur? Yeah, I was just thinking about what you said. Owen flashed me a grin as he began gathering everything up and putting it back in the bag. Well, want a balut, eh? I chuckled. With that done, Owen said he needed to go back to his patrols, but not before saying that he'd come by again soon. The next few days were quiet. Every day I sat on the pier, feet dangling over the edge as I waited and waited for a fish to take the bait. I was sure I'd catch one. I had to. I started to find myself staring at the dark water, eager to see even a hint of movement, a small ripple, anything at all, and if they weren't biting. But the lake stayed quiet as ever. Owen's appearances were a distraction, but not an unwelcome one, in the end. He'd pop out from between the trees, waving with a smile, and I'd wave back. We chatted some more about his work, about what it's like to live up here. I tried not to bring up the state of the world again. It was easy to ignore those thoughts while he was around. He didn't make an appearance every day. 3 days before I was supposed to leave the cabin, it rained a little. I didn't go fishing. Instead, I stared out to the lake from the cabin doorstep. Small ripples spread across the dark water, disturbing the perfect stillness that I'd started to get used to. The soft pitter-patter of the droplets hitting the surface would have been pleasant, if it wasn't a reminder of what should have been there instead. It should have been snowing. I wondered if it would snow here this winter at all. Wouldn't have been surprised if it didn't. This soft, feeble rainfall could well be the most this place would be getting. And none of those ripples were from living fish. Fuck. I found myself looking at the bottle of pills again. Shaking my head, I closed the door and plopped down on the couch. As I rubbed my eyes, I thought back to what Owen said. I wondered if the rain was what kept him away. I'd ask him about it the next time. Still at it, friend? The seal's voice jolted me out of the trance that had overtaken me when I sat in my usual spot. Hey, Owen. As the seal approached, I stood up and turned to him. Listen, I was thinking. Would you like to visit me for dinner later tonight? Please, please, please. Sure, why not? I felt my heart tug hopefully. I hadn't felt like this in... God, how long? I needed this. A dinner in the cabin, just like old times. I smiled. A warmth spread through my chest as though an ember had sparked in its hollow. "5 p.m. and a knock at the door. Owen had come with a fish lover's pizza with extra anchovies. Perfect. Oh, where should I set this? Oh, right here is fine. I pointed to the pristine countertop behind me. The benefits of being unable to sleep was that I had plenty of hours to clean the place. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, it's nothing. I had little else to do today anyways. Owen set his coat down and placed the pizza on the table. You know, I've been wondering, is that the same shirt from your first day here? Oh, I've been needing to get some laundry done. Uh-huh. Say, why don't I get a fire going there, then we can sit? The hearth flame filled the cabin with a cosy warmth, the glow returning some of the cabin's old rustic charm. For once it felt as though I could be content to simply exist, here, with someone beside me. Owen was eyeing the wooden doors we fixed together days ago. What's your story with this place, if you don't mind me asking? It's not that interesting story. Used to love coming here with my pa. Later on I honeymooned here. Decided to rent the place out again for a bit. Honeymoon, eh? Not the most romantic spot, I'll admit. I hadn't shown him this place, and Owen pointed towards a picture on the hearth. That him? His name was Robin. Oh, did you? Just the name twisted a knife in my gut. My lips quivered, I could barely form the sentence. He was driving back one morning and never made it home. Owen's face sank. I'm sorry. It's been a few months now, and we used to come here all the time. Guess that's why I'm, here in the first place. Maybe to recapture some shred of what was lost. Make the world colourful again. I don't know. There was a long pause of silence between us as the fire roared on. Remember. God, I screamed so hard I couldn't speak for days. I laid on the floor, begging to die and be free from the misery. Thinking back to when I picked up that phone. The void in my chest when the voice I heard wasn't Robin. My eyes had begun to sting and a tear trickled down. I snivelled, realising just how much of a mess I was. Oh, everything was just not colourful anymore? Flat? I nodded. Owen looked at the photo again, its expression uncharacteristically sombre. A couple moments passed before he spoke. My father was a great man. He's the reason I even got into environmental science in the first place. He had such passion for the trees in our own backyard. God, the way his eyes would light up whenever he showed me the beautiful leaves he collected. He described in detail all the wondrous changes happening to the organisms around us. He saw beauty in the mundane. I attribute everything, my passion, my love, my desire to continue my work for as long as my body allows me, to him. Well, one day, he calls me by my uncle's name. I was concerned. Several months later, he couldn't even recognise me. I mean, by that point he was so far gone, the man I once knew had died and been replaced by this frightened, frail creature. It was an agonising wait until one day, I guess he just gave out. He died, terrified and confused. When I realised he would never call my name again, everything went pale. So much of my life revolved around this man I looked up to, and then the world was empty, as if it had lost its glimmer. And, in truth, even though I've regained it, I still feel as though the spark doesn't shine quite the way it used to. But it came back nonetheless. Owen shrugged. It does. Sometimes when I remember those dark times in the hospital, I can feel the flame flickering. But it comes back eventually. It's random. Phases in and out. But when it phases in, I try my best to cling on to it as much as I can. Well, has it phased in? I'd say so. Helps to have someone to talk about it with. A friend, maybe? I gave him the best smile I could muster. I'm happy to keep you company. You did say it can get lonely out here. Owen chuckled, rubbing the back of his head. Yeah, I guess so. Seeing you on that pier was a nice surprise, even if you tore my shorts. We both laughed. I'd expected to be all alone too. Just a quiet week for fishing, and... I looked away. I wanted to finish that thought. It seemed stupid now. What about the rest of your family? Do they live in the north with you? It's just my uncle and cousins now. They live pretty far. No significant other? No. Can't imagine someone wanting to move up here to live with me. Why not? It can be pretty cosy. Like right now. I suppose so. It hasn't shaken out that way. I see. Well, I'm enjoying our time here a lot, and if you wanted to... I gave him a wry smile. Owen looked confused for a moment while barking out a laugh. Oh, Arthur. What? Sorry. But Sorry if I'm coming on too fast. No, it's not that. I'm flattered that you would even consider something like that, but I'm unfortunately not attracted to men, Arthur. There's a long awkward pause as I sit with this. I mean, of course I couldn't expect that. Why'd I even assume such a thing? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed that you were... I'm stupid. Sorry. Arthur, it's fine, dude. Don't beat yourself up over it. I know, just... It's... Are you okay? Yes, I looked away, trying to put up some walls again, stop the burning at the edge of my eyes. It wasn't much use, though. My walls were as flimsy as the cabins. He could see, I was certain. Arthur, I'm sorry. I didn't know you read things like that. No, you're not to blame. Just... My breathing had become laboured, threatening to crack. Why was I having this overreaction? I mean, it's my fault, actually, Owen. I mean, God, how long have we known each other? We're basically strangers still, aren't we? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had maybe become closer than that. No, I know that, just... My mind raced as I reached for excuses. Was I really so fucking lonely that I invented his signals? I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to say something awful and push Owen even further away. I didn't want him to see me right now. I didn't want to see me right now. His eyes were darting to and from the door, hands placed above his stomach in a telltale sign of discomfort. The fire had begun to dissipate with meat crackles as the charred logs crumbled beneath their own weight. You think it's best if maybe I go? Not that I'm... Well... Owen rubbed the back of his head. Maybe to leave you to yourself for a bit. Clear the air. Sorry. I so desperately wanted to stop him, but I simply nodded with my gaze averted. Owen left awkwardly after gathering his things. His last words were a hushed good night. I sat there in silence, paralysed by shame and embarrassment. The burning need to cry had fizzled out. All that was left was the pit. Listless humiliation and shame roiled around like worms in my gut. Utterly embarrassing scene. I made a fool of myself. How long had it been? Yet I still couldn't keep control of my emotions. I cursed for throwing myself on the side of the sofa, trying to conjure what Robin would say to me. He'd have given it to me straight, stared me directly in the eye and told me like it was. He'd have said, Arthur, you need to stop behaving so impulsively. Whenever something riled me up, something sent me on a spiral, he'd be sure to keep me from getting sucked further down to the maelstrom. When he was finished, he'd be there still. When I needed him to say something, he had just the right words. And when I needed silence, he was content to linger in it with me. His tail wrapped round my neck like a scarf, his muzzle pecking at my fur tenderly. But here I was alone. Robin wasn't here. I'd never feel his presence again. It'd always be me, alone. I lay there for hours until fatigue pulled me to sleep. The next day I woke, same position. Was it morning or afternoon? I couldn't tell. I paced the space of the cabin for hours, mortified to even step foot outside should Owen be there. Embarrassing, Arthur, just embarrassing. Every now and then I'd walk in front of the cabinet. I could do it. It'd be swift and easy. I was so tired. I just wanted to sleep. Just hibernate and be with Robin. No, I came here for something else. I wasn't looking for company. I just wanted to catch a fish. Then I'd go home and it would be all right. So I wandered out to the lake. It was later in the afternoon by now. The shadows from the trees were growing longer and darker. I sat there at the end of the pier, staring at the dark lake again, still as ever. Dead. It was all dead. I swallowed, feeling the lump in my throat. Why wouldn't anything bite? A desperate feeling overcame me. I needed the rod to budge, to find something at the end of the line. But there was no tug, no movement. Come on, bite. Bite, goddamn you! Without realising what I was doing, I pulled my arm back and hurled the rod into the water. Hit the surface with a splash, and stayed there, floating, as the circles radiating from it grew smaller, weaker, before dying out entirely. Oh, I whirled around, startled, only to see Owen standing at the other end of the dock, wide-eyed. Hey, Arthur, you okay there? Yeah. I just stood there, uncertain if Owen had seen my tantrum. The seal walked up to me, the wooden boards creaking under his boots. He looked down the rod bobbing on the lake's surface with a puzzled expression. Hey, you doing better today? We both looked at the rod. Been going through it. Sorry you had to see that. Thought I'd give you some space to, Sorry, I didn't know what to say back then. You didn't do anything wrong, I don't know. I guess I was delusional and thought you could maybe, My eyes were stinging again. I clenched my fists, trying to hold back the tears. I couldn't do that again. Not in front of him. I fell silent, and after a few moments, Owen simply nodded. He looked at the lake again. At first I was surprised you kept coming out here every day, despite what I told you. I guess I thought you were just being stubborn or something, or maybe just enjoying the scenery. No, I really wanted to catch something. Owen nodded, smiling. Yeah, I could tell. I think it's cool that you kept trying. But there's nothing down there. I felt the lump again. I turned my face to the side and wiped it with my hand. I'm sorry, Owen. No, it's okay. No, it's not okay because I keep doing this. I keep having these fucking delusions, thoughts of... So many words and thoughts whirled in my head. All that came out were half-baked stutters. I just feel there's nothing I can do anymore that matters. Like, everything I try to fix is just ineffective. This void, this hole in my heart. The tears had begun to flow. My world died when he died. But how much I try, it just eats away at me. It doesn't get better. I don't want to. I clenched my teeth. Do this anymore. Do this? I don't want to be awake anymore. Why, what's the point? I mean, look at this place. Nothing's biting, no birds are chirping. Hell, there's barely even any snow in the mountains anymore. Everything is worse now. There's no way to reverse it. This is what we have now. Now with Robin gone, I have no one to cling on to. I tried so hard, Owen. I did. I tried therapy, medication, socializing, tried just... But it never worked. I never could get over it. God, I don't fucking know anymore. As I ranted, I left the pier, wanting nothing to do with that bleached out lake anymore. I threw myself down in the grass, next to the skeleton of a tree. I'm just so tired. I'm so fucking tired. Why can't I just sleep? Is that too much to ask? Nothing ever bites. I looked up at Owen, still standing on the dock. I felt the fur on my cheeks slick from tears that finally had fallen. I expected him to look uncomfortable or just decide to leave. He stared at me head on, eyes wide but tender, the last bit of sunlight reflecting off them. Hey, it's all right, just let it all out. It's okay, Arthur, it's okay. He approached me slowly but determined. I hiccuped out a cough as he came to stop near me. Made a real scene, didn't I? Yeah, but hey, we all do sometimes. You haven't really told me about Robin. If you're fine with it, I'd like to know more about him. It's something that makes that emptiness vanish for a moment. Like when I told you about my father. It wasn't painful like it usually was. I was happy to share him with someone. Is that something you'd be okay with doing, Arthur? I took a shuddering breath. Something about Robin? I hesitated for a second. Kind of a stupid story. Stumbled into him while I was volunteering at an aquarium down on the west coast. Entirely by chance. Traffic made him miss the last of the shark feedings, and man, he looked really disappointed. So I got him a free show the next day. Not entirely what I was supposed to do, but I just wanted to make sure he could get the most out of the experience. He was an accountant of some big company. Never really enjoyed talking much about it. The pay was good and allowed him to do what he loved, which was seeing, as he put it, cool fish and shit. I chuckled, remembering how bluntly he'd put it. It's always been something he enjoyed. I pulled my knees up towards my chest and hugged him as I still sat in the grass. And we just continued from there. He's so damn smart. But he never made me feel demeaned or lesser in any regard. He was blunt, and if you fucked up, he'd tell it to you straight. But he's kind and cared deeply. I was diagnosed with Asperger's pretty late in my life. I mean, I sort of knew it before then, but getting official on record was not something I'd even considered. He pushed me to do that. He pushed me to make sure I was taking care of myself. You're not helpless when you're on the spectrum, but damn does it ever make it easier if there's someone who just gets you. Or understands you and lets you just be you around them. I sighed softly. Here's my miracle. I never could have asked for someone better to spend those years with. My eyes began to grow misty again, but Owen extended a hand to point next to me. I looked at him, hesitating for a moment, for I nodded and he took the spot, close but not touching. It sounds wonderful, Arthur. I wish I could have met him myself. It's clear from what you told me he loved Robin very much. I'm sure he loved you as well in equal measure. It just hurt so much. I can't ever find someone to fill the void he left. You don't need to. You shouldn't, in fact. You'll never find someone like Robin. But that's not the point. Robin was his own person, and he'll remain as such even when he's gone. And when you're ready, Arthur, there'll be other people out there that are unlike anyone else. I really have been happy to have made a friend these past days. Sniffling, I nodded to the seal. Yes, I can say the same. With a smile, he tilted his head to the side. Want to sit a while longer? Sure. The sun had hidden behind the mountains by now, darkness falling over the lake. Owen pulled up his knees too, mirroring me as we both sat and stared out in silence. He turned his head eventually, catching me staring at the water. Have you ever had a bird morel? I blinked, then shook my head, surprised at the sudden question. I grew up in Colorado. My uncle used to have this cabin in the middle of a beautiful pine forest. I used to go there a lot during vacations. There was a wildfire when I was 12, I think. Typical stuff, you know. Destroyed the whole area. I was so sad after it happened. No more weeks spent playing with my cousins out in the forest. I begged my uncle to rebuild his cabin. There was no point with everything around it burnt down. And one day, my dad took me up there. This was a couple of years after the wildfire. He took me through the forest and told me about these really rare mushrooms, burn morels. They only grow in the wake of a forest fire. So we went foraging and we found some. Dad cooked them for us and it was so damn good. I remember us sitting around the campfire. He was watching me eat the mushroom and he asked if I still felt sad about the cabin. Obviously I was. He said that was fine. He was sad too. There was still something cool and rare and delicious to be found even after the destruction, wasn't there? I nodded, surprised to realise I was smiling at him. He smiled back, then looked up and gave a soft whistle. Well, I'll be. A dazzling light had started dancing on the dark surface, reflecting the brilliance that was lighting up the sky above. I stared, mesmerised. Not my first time seeing the aurora, but for some reason, right now, from where we were sitting together, it was truly breathtaking. I'm sorry you didn't get to snag a fish. This is still our lake, Arthur. I'm glad I could spend these past few days with a friend on it. Owen wore a soft smile. I'll be here tonight. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here as long as you're renting the place out. I'll be here if you decide to come again, even if there's no fishing to be done. Don't get it alone, pal. I can't be a partner to you. That doesn't mean I won't sit by you whenever you need. I think that's special itself, right? He winked. I had no words, but my heart felt easy somehow. Owen was right. He was a great guy and I really hoped we could build this into a long friendship, one that would last years. And no, the spark wasn't quite what it once was. It was still there. It'd flicker in and out. Maybe tomorrow it'd die down again. But like what Robin said, I'd wake up tomorrow. And I'd wake up the day after that one. And the one after that. And the day after that. And that was End of the Line. Definitely just a one-off here. So it's nice to do those once in a while as opposed to a series. I hope you enjoyed that one. And as to next week, I'm not quite sure. Just in a couple of days, there will be a ghost story for Christmas. And then something different next weekend. I'll also be doing a couple of short odds and ends. I hope to do some Glory Hounds, one of the shorts from there as well, before we head into the new year or around there. But yeah, there'll be definitely a few things coming up over the holidays. Before I go, as always, thank you to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You're so appreciated. And as always, my top patrons are La Cuskerton, Greyloch, Coob, Addy Bear, Welpers Need Coffee, Amaterasu, Tiger Cub, Samuto, Spiderling, Rafu, Omar, Mario Cervantes, Matt Kenya, Kartek, Evan King, Ida Corval, Harvey's Mouse Productions, Grizz, Exact, Dissonance, Copus Visser, Brian Hall, Bieka, Bastian, Aaron Fox, and Andy Peng. So special thanks to all of them. And that's it. Thanks for watching. And in a couple of days, as I record this, there'll be a ghost story for you for Christmas. Bye for now.